In this presentation, I would like to give you some information about ELISA Kits from BioVendor portfolio, which are intended for assaying neural tissue markers, or generally protein molecules participating in pathological processes that may come in the neural tissue. The BioVendor company has a long tradition in the development of immunoassays as well as the development and production of antibodies and recombinant proteins. Our ELISA kits for the determination of biomarkers in various clinical fields have gained a solid reputation and were frequently referred in top-class scientific journals. The human brain, the principal part of the central nervous system, is even today, I dare to claim this without hesitation, still the most mysterious organ in the human body. It was attracting attention of scientists and artists too, already in times when the knowledge about it was much poorer than it is today. Here, in this part of a fresco located in Sistine Chapel in Vatican, you can see that famous Michelangelo very likely considered just the human brain to be the site where God resides. Here you can see only short selection from ELISA kits that BioVendor offers from the field of neural tissue markers. I will be speaking only about those marked with bold letters, which are somehow more relevant in diagnostics and research concerning neural tissue damage or disease. Firstly, it's necessary to mention some useful terms. The blood-brain barrier is a highly selective, semi-permeable membrane barrier that separates the circulating blood from the brain and extracellular fluid in the central nervous system. The blood-brain barrier is formed by brain endothelial cells, and it allows the passage of small molecules like water and gases and lipid-soluble molecules by passive diffusion, as well as the selective transport of molecules such as glucose and amino acids that are crucial to neural function. The blood-brain barrier is the factor which causes that some brain-specific markers get into the blood or reach higher detectable levels only after disruption of this blood-brain barrier. Secondly, neural tissue markers can be measured in blood. It means serum or plasma samples, or in cerebrospinal fluid. BioVendor ELISA kits enable to measure biomarkers from three areas of pathologies concerning neural tissue: traumatic brain injury, stroke, and neurodegenerative disorders. Glial fibrillary acidic protein, GFAP, is one example of a brain-specific protein which reaches higher concentrations in the blood only after the blood-brain barrier disruption. That is why it enables to distinguish between traumatic brain injury, TBI, and multiple trauma without TBI. Plasma levels of GFAP correlated with initial severity of TBI during first 2 days after the injury, as might be apparent from the pictures on the right. How many studies indicated serum or plasma GFAP may predict severity of injury and clinical outcome? In patients with severe TBI, GFAP is markedly elevated also in cerebrospinal fluid, further only CSF. CSF GFAP levels were successfully used for improvement of the predictive power of the impact outcome assessment. S100B protein is a very different case. It is expressed not only in the neural tissue, but also in cells of several other tissues, such as in melanocytes, kidney epithelial cells, adipocytes, chondrocytes, some kinds of lymphocytes, etc. Despite this, S100B is quite well established neuromarker, how you will see in a moment. S100B enables to differentiate between TBI and stroke on the basis of different dynamics of the S100B release. Among various other utilizations of this marker, increased S100B concentrations were reported, for example, in schizophrenia patients. CSF levels of S100B were used for diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. Interestingly, S100B acts distinct ways. In low, it means nanomolar, and in high, micromolar concentrations. Low concentrations are neuroprotective. High concentrations can kill neurons. There is a significant positive association between S100B concentration and mortality after TBI. Here you can see that although S100B cannot be called a very specific neural tissue biomarker, it is used in clinical practice. This is an example of guidelines used in Scandinavia. S100B serves here as a biomarker, helping to make decisions concerning patients with mild TBI, whether to carry out CT, to admit them for observation, or to send them home. And Scandinavian physicians and medical scientists evaluated S100B incorporation into these guidelines as safe and effective. Phosphorylated neurofilament H is another neural tissue marker. It is a potential biomarker of disease prognosis in amyotrophic lateral sclerosis patients. Their pNF-H blood levels are nearly 3 times higher than in controls. Some published results you can see in the figure below. It was suggested as a predictive marker of death at 6 months after TBI. Further, pNF-H could be an independent predictor for 6 months mortality in patients with acute intracerebral hemorrhage, a subtype of stroke. Clusterin, a chaperone protein, is widely expressed in kidney, liver, prostate, but predominantly in the brain. It has been shown that clusterin is highly elevated in Alzheimer's disease and tends to colocalize with amyloid beta. Clusterin has neuroprotective effects under physiological conditions. For instance, prevents amyloid beta aggregation. However, if concentrations of amyloid beta abnormally increase, clusterin also starts to behave weirdly. This dualistic acting of clusterin is schematically shown in the figure below. So, clusterin was indicated as a potential therapeutic target in treatment of Alzheimer's disease. This list shows the discussed ELISA kits with their respective catalog numbers. There are also some new ELISA kits available for detecting of some markers concerning neurodegenerative disorders. BioVendor can offer you also recombinant, either prokaryotic or eukaryotic proteins concerning neural tissue markers research and/or diagnostics. In addition, we offer also some antibodies applicable in this area of investigation. I believe you have found something interesting in my presentation also for your own work. But it was just a small starter from a wider menu of BioVendor biomarker immunoassays. Visit us at the biovendor.com website, where it is quite easy to find an ELISA kit, protein, antibody or Mirna immunoassay meeting your needs. feel free to contact our product managers and ask for help.